Hey there. So I just recently got the Leatherman Surge after over a year of carrying the Arc with me pretty much everywhere. I got this about 2 weeks after release date, and that's only because that's how long it took them to send it to me. So I've carried this in my pocket almost every day for that time. I did a video in the past about how at a birthday party having this thing really changed the way I thought about my pocket carry and kind of disqualified a lot of my pocket knives from that point forward. But there were a few points where I was trying to do work and it was just the pliers didn't seem strong enough or other stuff that I got curious. I got this for my birthday recently. I've been carrying it every day for almost a week since receiving it. I wanted to talk through some early impressions. I would really like to do a longer term impression once I've carried this for some real length of time, but I did want to go over some early things that really stood out to me right away carrying this after that, in case anybody else is on the fence about these, or if you're into tools and have either of them and you just like hanging out with other tool guys. Obviously, the difference in weight, you can feel it in the hand for sure. It's like 8.6 ounces or something like that, and this is 12 and a half. But interestingly, I find when I carry the Surge in the pocket, it's not really that much more to me than this. I know a lot of people online say the Surge is too heavy for pocket carry. Respectfully, I disagree, in my opinion. I feel like this is already so much heavier than a lot of my pocket knives that if I'm wearing gym shorts or something where this is going to sag in the pocket and be unideal, this already does that, and so this doesn't really do it notably worse. And if I'm wearing jeans or more structured pants that can kind of withstand a little more weight in the pocket, either of these are actually fine. And to me, I guess I feel like by the time I'm carrying something like this that's that much heavier than my average pocket knife, the extra couple ounces of that is sort of negligible. It feels okay in the pocket to me. I don't find myself saying, oof, man, this is a lot to carry in the pocket. I really need the belt clip. But I'm also somebody that tends not to carry a whole lot in each pocket. I've got my wallet on one side, and usually whatever tool I'm bringing with me for the day. If that's a pocket knife or if it's a multi-tool, it's by itself in the right pocket. And so I think you can get away with something like the Surge if you're not going to be carrying a whole bunch of stuff. Off the bat, too, when I fold these out and bear down on them, the rounded edges of the Surge are way more comfortable than the Arc. I think that's a big improvement right there. I will agree with some of the folks that have said, as cool looking as the Arc is and as premium as some parts of it feel, it's rather boxy in its design. And to me, when I've really used the pliers, a couple parts create hot spots. First, this lock right here in my palm, when I squeeze down, that lock digs into me every time. And up in here where the pocket clip is, really digs into my hand. Now I could reverse it, but then the pocket clip is digging into right here. And I'm still getting like issues down here with the lock. And there's also a little bit of flex when you really squeeze down on these. I don't know that it's flex that would actually, is indicative of like they couldn't take a lot of bearing down, but I don't feel any of that kind of flex in the Surge when I do it, and I don't have the way that the pocket clip fits onto this because of how much bigger the handle is. It doesn't dig in at all, and it's a lot more comfortable. I mean, it's not as comfortable as a pair of actual pliers that have the padded things, but as multi-tools go, this is probably the most comfortable to squeeze tightly of any of them that I've used so far. So that's obviously, for me, a reason to pick these. And I like that the pliers are about the same size as a full regular set of pliers that you'd have in your toolbox, whereas this feels like a multi-tool pair of pliers, if that makes sense. As far as tools on here, they're pretty similar. A couple things that stand out to me, though, that I like a little better on the Arc is this guy right here. Now, a lot of people describe this as a pry bar. I guess it kind of is, and it's also sort of a flat screwdriver tip, but it's also a bottle opener. Now, I'm not going to say I use that every day, but as one of the side tools goes, I actually really like that about the Arc, and the Surge doesn't have anything quite the same. The closest that it has is the can opener. I haven't tried this yet to see if it can open a bottle, but I'm assuming it's not really ideal just because of the shape here. So you don't really have anything to open bottles with. And I feel like that's sort of a missed opportunity because on this side, the 3 tools they give you, you get an awl. Now look, I love having an awl on it. That's great. But then you have 2 of basically the same thing, flathead screwdriver bits. To me, that's totally redundant. I already have a flat screwdriver in my bit driver. If there was any argument to be made to have one more, maybe the bigger one, I don't have any reason to have this smaller one. That's completely redundant. And to me, in terms of space, if they had swapped either of these with what they did in the Arc, which would still give me one of these flatheads but actually give me a bottle opener, that would be a way better tool for the Surge. And probably of all of the tools that the Surge has, to me, in my taste, that's the biggest miss on their tools versus the Arc is not having that. Because everything else that you get on the Surge is pretty one-to-one with the Arc. You still get your bit driver, of course, and what's even better is the T-shank adapter. I think that's great. Comes with the minor disadvantage versus the Surge of you don't have a saw and a file accessible to you at the same time, but you can obviously easily switch them on this. And as a long-term tool, I think this is more ideal because I like the idea that you could, when you wear this file out or wear your saw out, swap it or swap it for different types of saws to cut metal, to cut different types of wood. Whereas with this, it's not a bad saw at all, but this is what you're stuck with. Same thing for the file. This file feels pretty smooth, and I've used it a fair amount, but I feel like it's a little worn already. And knowing, well, that's it. Like, unless I buy some kind of specialty replacement file and have to disassemble part of the tool, I am stuck with this. To me, that's a minor con compared to the Surge. I also like how much bigger the knives are in the Surge. I'll show you the Arc here. I would never say that this is too small to be useful. I've definitely used it for a heck of a lot over the last year or two that I've had this tool, and MagnaCut's obviously nice, but as you can see, you do get more length with the Surge, and I feel like this brings it more into regular pocket knife territory size. A little bit more usable, especially if I'm sometimes using this for food prep. Now, some people might think that's kind of silly out of a multi-tool, but I'm the kind of person that whatever knife I'm carrying in my pocket is one that I would use for a whole lot of things, including cutting an apple while I'm out or something. Randomly, I'll just use them, as a table knife just to play with them because I like knives. And so to me, if I'm carrying a multi-tool a lot, I might occasionally use it on food. That's a big advantage here. Not only the bigger blade size is a little more ideal for that, but the coating, which they did not need to put on this MagnaCut, because as I understand it, MagnaCut is plenty rust resistant as it is. These coatings generally are made of materials people don't recommend you use them for food prep, especially with acidic foods, because you don't want that to come off in your food. Well, that's a swing and a miss for the Arc to me. I realize not everybody is going to use their multi-tool knife for food prep, but knowing that the Surge has no coating and would be safer, another win for the Surge. And of course, here's a tool that when I first got the Arc, I actually thought scissors on a multi-tool is kind of goofy. Who would use those? And I've really surprised myself by just how often I have used the scissors. And the scissors on this are considerably bigger and more comfortable to use, and the types of things you can cut with them is just nicer. That's a big plus to me as well. When you're talking about the extra weight of the Surge and asking yourself, what are you really getting for that? That's a big plus for the extra weight as well. Now, obviously, the butter smoothness of this and all of the tools that you can just pull out feels very premium. That's a big plus of the Arc. But to some degree, I feel like you are trading having that for it being an ideal tool when you have to do real work. And I say that just because there's a couple of times I've been outside with this in the last year where I wanted to just loosen a nut or change the license plate on my car, take it off and do some maintenance. And when I tried to do it with this, it was just really hard to, especially if we're talking a nut that's a little bit corroded and kind of locked on there. I just struggled to have enough leverage with this to really do it. And because it digs into the hand when you bear down hard, I'm like, this is very light duty only. And every time I've ever used it for a harder task, it's uncomfortable. The few things that I've done with this so far, it's a lot more comfortable to do quote unquote real work. Now, obviously, I've only had it for a week so far, so I'm not going to front like I've really been in the trenches with this, but I'll do another video down the road, kind of a longer term. I really look forward to putting this through harder use kind of stuff and comparing it to the Arc, because I feel like that's where there's going to be a really big difference in the ergos and the pliers size. Those are the main things I wanted to talk through at this point. Hope if you're kind of comparing these, that was helpful for you. And if you have either or both of these, I would welcome hearing about your impressions of them as well and which you prefer in this day and age. I feel like this is more of an EDC, like light duty around the house kind of thing. That's great for the size. And then this would be like more quote unquote a real tool, if you want to think of it that way. A little bit less premium in the way some of the tools come out, but when you got to do hard stuff, built a little better for that. Catch you guys in the next one. I look forward to revisiting this when I've had this a bit longer. Thanks for watching.